Well, if you remember my horde mode video, you'll remember that we planned on a lot of different bases and how we would attack them in horde mode. Well, in this video, as many of you have requested, I'll be doing the attacks on those bases and commentating over them. Now, one more thing before we start in terms of how often I upload videos. Well, I try to upload them between every 1 or 2 weeks, depending on when I have the time. Over the next month, I will be a little bit more busy, so I might not upload a video this next month. We'll see. I'll probably be spending more of my free time on esports and just building bases for the World Championship when I get the chance. So we'll see about that. But also, before we get into the attacks, you should know that on my Twitter account, I do giveaways after the monthly finals, and I plan to do those in August and after the Last Chance qualifier, and probably even the World Championship and stuff. So if you want to maybe win some gold passes or also see a lot of the other stuff I post on Twitter, you can follow me over there. And here's that base, which you might remember from the start of that last video. And this base, I managed to hit it first try and 3-star because it's generally a pretty easy base. Basically, we start off with a Royal Champion charge over here, going in towards the Fire Spitter, and then of course the Log Launcher plan, which if you watch that video, you'll remember us planning. And if not, it's okay. You can just see some of the plans and what we do over here. So of course, just some invisibility spells. The last one was a bit quicker because I didn't want to risk the Spirit Fox going down. But the execution of these things, you can just perfect more with time. Now an Ice Golem and Queen with a Sneezy, just because the Sneezy is great to take out red air bombs and stuff. Earthquake, and now a Log Launcher going towards the core of the base. And I did a Super Barbarian also to test for the Log Launcher to make sure there are no traps or anything or giant bombs just to damage it. And then we start the Root Riders with the Warden to help kind of cross tank for everything. Now it doesn't matter if the Queen goes into the base or not. Wherever she goes, she'll be getting value either in the core or tanked behind the Root Riders. Ice Golem to tank for the King. So the Ricochet Cannons tanked and everything. And then Super Yetis and Super Valkyries in the Log Launcher. I'll talk about that in a second. Now, first of all, another wall break for the King for him to get more value. Overgrowth on the Town Hall so the troops can have nice pathing. Now, in terms of the Super Valkyrie and the Super Yetis, this was a trick I learned in the Siege in the Log Launcher. A lot of teams kind of tried to use it, but I saw how strong it was when I was doing some base testing with Kingsman and Vatic Esports, and he was doing that trick a lot, and I realized that in almost every situation, Super Valkyries and Super Yetis get more value than Triple Yetis in the Log Launcher, so that's pretty good. Of course, here also Heal Tome and Raid Gem. If you have the chance to use the Raid Gem, that's always good because it speeds up the army and gives it more power. And I guess as you would have seen in the replay, the Super Yetis and Super Valkyries, I think got some pretty nice value. The core got cleared very nicely, and this is a nice and easy 3-star on this base. Now the second attack we have over here. Now this attack, I think this was like the 3rd try on the base. The Spirit Walk on the right side is kind of baited with a Tornado Trap, so it was a bit hard to do. But also I think I missed the Giant Arrow just a little bit. But anyways, if you just practice and you can execute really well, it should be a simple plan to do. A nice Spirit Walk over on the left side of the base. And just recall trigger the Giga Bomb, that's also nice. Giant Arrow now with the Queen, and then Earthquakes and the Log Launcher. I don't intend to take out the Clan Castle, so yeah, just 2 Earthquakes is okay. And then I have the King going. The Ricochet Cannons need to be distracted, of course, so the Log Launcher doesn't kind of get damage from them on the sides and all that. Freeze the Town Hall. I guess it helps the Log Launcher, so that's nice. And now we just wait a little bit. The Log Launcher got the value. And now we can start the Root Riders on the right side again with the Raid Gem on the Warden, which is pretty strong. And again, Super Valkyrie and Super Yeti in the Log Launcher. And now you see they're just moving through and getting some nice value. And we'll just wait a little bit. Again, this base is also pretty easy. The pathing is really clear on it. Of course, I put the merged defenses into these bases. These bases are a bit older, from maybe the month of May or something like that. They were really good, of course, at the time. Like, they were used in the World Championship qualifiers and all that. Even I think like some of the winning teams used them. But of course the meta changes, we discover new strategies and new approaches, and then these bases maybe aren't so good anymore when we learn the right ways to take them down. But as you can see, the pathing on this hit was pretty nice. Again, another Root Rider hit, because Root Riders are really strong, especially with the log launcher, when you can get great log launcher value. That's why, of course, base builders these days, they make sure that you can't play log launchers on bases, because otherwise it's basically the base is done and there's really not much you can do to bait it, because it's just super strong. Log launcher gets the value, and yeah, that's it. Now this is the third base, and we actually planned some dragon hit in the video on it. The problem is that attack doesn't work anymore because of the Eternal Tome nerf. Like, you can't spam the dragons into the monolith and the multi and then blimp the 2 fire spitters in the core like we planned, if you remember that. And I tried a lot on this base. It was actually really difficult and kind of hard to figure out what to do against it. Some attacks came close, but in the end I managed to beat it with this one. Again, the Spirit Walk into the Root Riders. And again, once again with the log launcher, as you'll see what we do. So I get a nice Spirit Walk, and I think this will be the last log launcher hit of the video, so don't worry guys, there will be some other kinds of approaches, even fireballs and stuff. But now Queen, Giant Arrow, and then Ice Golem. The Ice Golem is important so the Crusher Mortar doesn't hit the log launcher. The Crusher Mortar is a good counter to the log launcher, of course. Some base builders make like back-end compartments with just a Crusher Mortar, so it's kind of difficult to play log launchers, but here we managed to distract it nicely, so that was good. And then here's another thing. I have the Rage Gem with the Eternal Tome on this base, and the reason is because I saw the core was kind of heavy, so I was like, okay, I need an Eternal Tome to block all of the damage. And this was another thing I learned from Kingsman when we were doing base testing, that you can use the Eternal Tome, and then when you have it, the Eternal Tome and the Rage Gem, you can just use a heal spell to compensate for the lost healing, and then it's pretty much all good. Now look at the Super Yeti in the core getting some really great value. I waited on the Overgrowth a bit just to see how much he could get. And, oh, I still didn't drop the heal spell, okay. Well now, right, good timing for it. And again, we have really nice pathing through the base, the troops. Again, if you can just figure out how to get your troops clean pathing through the base, you're pretty much going to 3-star always. But still, this base has a quite strong back end, so we'll wait a little bit. I could have invised the Queen so she could take out the multi. Again, I didn't really notice that, but it's okay. I still have 3 heroes left. The Royal Champion, pop her ability so she can shoot a few spears from afar. I could have also invised the Warden to save his Rage Gem, and then like the King would have tanked for him. But it's okay, I did another nice trick to finish. Now Invis spell over here on the RC, and then King ability, because I wanted the King to go into the compartment and tank for the enemy Queen. And now it's just a nice 3-star. A little bit close, but once again, Horde mode isn't always the easiest, so again, it's a nice 3-star in the end, and I think it's pretty reasonable to replicate this attack, not impossible to do. And this is the 4th base we have over here. This base was actually built by me way back in May, but there's a pretty good way to beat it with the double Overgrowth Root Riders. This attack wasn't really that popular back then. Of course, it became popular after Max used it, but it was originally Darkstar who first used it in the April monthly finals. If you guys watched my video on that, you would know that from before. A lot of people, I think, don't realize that. But anyways, nice Spirit Walk into the side Scattershot compartment, and then you'll learn a few interesting ideas now in 1 second. But let's just wait for the Spirit Walk to finish. Okay, recall the RC out. Now, first of all, I'm going to be playing the Root Riders. And again, when the Town Hall is a little bit deeper on these kinds of diamond bases, and Giant Arrow, of course, for the invis, You can play the double Overgrowth Root Riders. So the Root Riders can take out the like outer kind of compartments around the town hall, and then once they're kind of done with that, the Overgrowth will wake up, and they're not going to be getting hit by all of the crossfires super quickly. So that helps out, of course. And the King, of course, on the outside to funnel, which is pretty common. Popping the Healing Tome because I don't want the troops to die. And the second Overgrowth, super important to cover the Rage Tower so we don't get destroyed by it. And now we just wait as the troops pass through the base. And that's pretty much it about Root Riders. Okay, there are Teslas in the corner popping. I just take them out with Super Barbs. But as I was saying, with Root Riders, all that matters is that you have clean defensive pathing through the base. And they're going to get nice results. And especially in normal mode, when you do these things, you can, of course, make a lot of mistakes and practice a lot. And you'll still get 3 stars because there's really no damage in normal mode. But again, Rocket Spear coming in super clutch because it shoots defenses from far away. Of course, Rocket Spear with the Rage spell also helps out. And this base was completely destroyed by the strategy. Of course, first try, as I said, wasn't super difficult. And we'll just speed it up and Spiky Ball to finish off the base. And now we're sorting into some of the more difficult bases. This base was actually quite difficult, especially with the Crusher Mortar on that backhand compartment. It was really annoying to figure out how to beat it. The old plan, I think, didn't really work. It came close, but not really. So I used this plan, and this plan, which I'm about to show you over here, was one of the older plans to kind of try and beat this base. I think it was Simon from Vatic Esports who first tried to do this on the base, but his attack, I think it came close, like a 90% or something. I'm talking a few months back. But there are a few tricks we did here to make sure that this plan does go through. So Giant Arrow with the Earthquake and the no Skeleton spell actually, just some Super Barbs and Ice Columns to distract. Freeze for the Queen. Okay, so this plan is of course pretty... It looks easy to spot on the space, just the Log Launcher and the Spirit Walk. And now here, by the way, Super Yeti coming in super clutch for the Town Hall. I don't think normal Yetis would always work here. But the Raid Gem, of course, is what helps this, and the Healing Tome. This combo, of course, is a lot more powerful than, like, say, what people used to use before, like the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome. So that helps out a lot. And of course, we place an Overgrowth and then pop the Healing Tome so the troops can be super healthy going through the base. So of course, we don't want too much damage on them all at once. So we're just moving through some Headhunters. And of course, this back end is still insanely strong. But again, our troops are healthy. And this was, I think, my first try using this plan. And it worked. So it's a pretty good plan, I guess. Of course, as you can see, a lot of damage, the Giga Bomb, the Crusher Mortar, but we have a lot of hero abilities to use, the Royal Champion ability, King ability to soften things up a bit. And still, the back end is super strong, but since our execution on this was so clean, we're going to be getting a nice 3-star. And the Raid Gem, of course, super important to keep things moving quickly and strongly. Okay, come on, finish the attack. And of course, the boogers on the Sneezy, super good to take out red air bombs. This also makes things a lot easier these days. Easier, of course, for attackers because you can't really bait healers with red air bombs anymore, which is kind of annoying. But now we have a fireball into Root Rider attack. This attack and the next attack, the last attack, will also have something a little bit interesting, which you might not have known about before. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But this base was also unbeatable for a long time. Many pro players struggled on it. And I think it was like Tribe Gaming originally built it, but then Elevate copied it and used it a lot. But first of all, we start with a nice Warden Walk and the Angry Jelly. And we just wait a little bit. And then now some invisibilities to get a nice fireball into the core. Getting a fireball on the Clan Castle is always great value. Of course, I made a bit of a mistake having a poison spell in this army because the clan castle is getting fireballed anyways. But I guess it's okay. The plan was pretty good anyways, so it doesn't have to be all perfect. So again, it can be improved even a little bit. Now, Ice Golem, of course, the tank. I don't want the Town Hall to shoot too much against the Root Riders. I'm waiting a bit on the Valkyries because it's important to get the Valkyries into the base. Otherwise, they won't be getting too great value. Now, the King, funneling. Again, these little small things with the deployments, you can get better at them as you practice more. But also now with the Fireball into Root Riders, as you can see, we just dump the whole army together. Before, people used to like wait a bit with the Royal Champion and delay her, and they used to have a siege barracks. But now just dump everything, troop launcher. Heal spell, of course, is great because there's no kind of eternal tome or something. And it also helps to heal the healers back up. Overgrowth nicely to help control the pathing of the Root Riders. And everything's moving through the base. Now in the troop launchers, I have triple ice golems and 2 balloons, which is pretty good because the ice golems can help to freeze things up on the back end. But sometimes I feel like the ice golems live too long till the end of the attack and they don't get great value. So you can also try like 2 ice golems, 1 super Valkyrie and 1 balloon in the troop launcher. I'm not sure which is better, but anyways, this attack comes together very nicely. Have some hero abilities, and actually the ice golems did a very nice job in this hit. Not in every hit, but okay. And then invisibility spell. I have all 4 heroes left alive, just super barbarians to swarm the back end, and it's a nice 3-star. So yep, I guess there's 1 more attack after this, or 2 more attacks actually, 2 more attacks. But yep, nice 3-star. Actually, before we get into that interesting attack, which I'll show you in a bit, we also have this base from the video, and the log launcher approach on this base does pretty well. I got it first try, and of course on the last base again, it was also first try with that fireball attack. The plans were pretty simple and they were strong, so yeah, it's not like I tried 1,000 times to get the triple like some people might do. But now we just get a nice Royal Champion charge going through the base. It continues to get some great value as well. It sometimes takes a lot of practice to really perfect your Royal Champion charges, when to use like 1 invisibility, when to use 2 invisibilities, and redirecting and everything. But with some practice you'll get it and it will be pretty simple. Now just dealing with the clan castle, a nice giant arrow, earthquake, and no skeleton spell because the multi will kind of kill everything. So, okay, log launcher, but the monolith needs to be tanked. I have a free spell in case. And the Root Riders are going through the base. This was originally like the unbreakable base. Of course, from the World's warm-up, so many teams failed against it and found it difficult to beat. Eventually, Navi beat it. But the Dragon plan actually doesn't work anymore with like the new defense levels and everything in the Crusher Mortar. But this plan is stronger anyways. People didn't know about this plan back then. Also, I don't have Super Yetis in this log launcher because I did this attack like 2 weeks ago or something. But I still recorded it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll use it for the video. And a heal spell now. That I guess I did think to use. Yeah, you know, this was before I did like the all of the base testing with Vatix. So yeah, I guess I just saw many pro players using the heal spell, so I just decided, okay, maybe with the Eternal Tome and Rage Gem it might be good. So yeah, nice 3-star. And this is the final attack over here. This base actually wasn't in that hard mode video, but it was a really difficult base. It took me a lot of tries to figure out how to beat it. It is a Legends base. It did pretty well actually in Legends League. But even in hard mode, it defends really well against many strategies. They come super close, like 90% or something. But they don't quite get the job done. But eventually I figured out now how to finally beat this base. Also with the Crusher Mortar, my older plan didn't work. I used to have like some Spirit Walk into the Fire Spitter, Log Launcher into the Monolith, and then Root Rider is kind of around the base. But the Crusher Mortar was a heavy backhand, so that plan stopped working now, so I had to figure out a new thing. And I guess the Fireball is a pretty good plan on this base. It gets a lot of value, especially the Clan Castle and like the multi-gear tower Crusher Mortar. It's important, this kind of backhand compartment is actually pretty common these days with like multi-gear tower, Crusher Mortar, and 2 defensive heroes, and then like 2 extra buildings, like 2 expos or something. And even like a multi, I guess. It makes it super heavy and super difficult as a backhand. So on this base, I managed to fireball it, so that was great, and that helped a lot. Now you might notice I have an ice block in this army. Also, of course, note the Overgrowth to just clear the pathing and stop the Town Hall and Fire Spitter from shooting. But this ice block spell was originally kind of for the Warden charge. I learned this also from Vatic Esports. Often like they do Warden charges with an Angry Jelly, and sometimes the Warden gets his value before the Angry Jelly expires, and then the Warden might get in like big trouble if he goes too far ahead. So you can use the Ice Block while the Angry Jelly is under effect to freeze the Warden, get the Fireball going, and then he can like kind of, the Fireball value will be like finished after that, and then the Angry Jelly would have worn off, or even if it hasn't worn off and still there, at least the high damage would have been taken out from the Fireball and the Warden won't like completely die. Now this attack wasn't actually perfect because I brought a poison spell again for the Clan Castle, which is kind of silly because it got taken out by the Fireball. And also, if you noticed, the king kind of, around that multi-compartment earlier, he went around, but he didn't have a wall break. So that wasn't great. He like kind of took some unnecessary damage. And I could have even wall broken him into that ricochet cannon compartment a few seconds ago. But yeah, maybe I could have done a few things different there. But anyways, the plan was nice, so we got a nice 3-star. It was a difficult base, but in the end, this plan got the job done, and that's it for this base. So I hope you enjoyed watching these live attacks. Of course, you can see it's mostly Root Rider attacks. Dragon attacks are still pretty good, actually. The only problem is that with the Eternal Tome nerf, they can be a bit more difficult because you can't like give them a wide spread. You have to like deploy them where they're all going to path together into one section in a nice tight group. Also, another thing people do with dragon attacks is having a Lava Hound tank with an ice block spell on the Lava Hound to tank like an air defense and a defensive hero. So that of course helps dragon attacks for sure, and they're still viable against certain bases, especially ones with really heavy cores, so you can try them on those. Maybe, I don't know, I'll put them in a video at some point. We'll see about that. But I hope you enjoyed these hits, and bye-bye.